I'm glad you brought up your prospect list. How about we transition to that a little bit?
Yeah, we could do that.
So, the segment, Sean and I decided that we were going to write down. I have 10 prospects. I don't know how many you have, Sean. But we watched the combine. Sean's been obsessed with the combine since we were in high school. He watches more combine than anybody I know that's just a normal human being. So what we did was we came up with a list of prospects that we would like the Bears to draft, not necessarily in the first round, but in case some of the, Will Andersons and the Jalen Carters are taken, who would we want the Bears to take at certain positions? Sean, would you like to go first?
All right, I'll go. I got 10. I only have one that's like a no-brainer because I've been harping on this the whole time, and I think they really should make this a priority. I think this could help Justin take a next step. JSN, the
He's
wide
on my list
receiver from
too.
Ohio State. I just think he's really good. He's better than those guys. I've been saying that from the beginning. He doesn't run as fast. He's not as tall, but he's just better than those guys.
He's the best
Um,
route runner.
yes. Then I had DN from Iowa, Lucas Van Ness. I think if we miss out, he might be somebody in the late first round. We could trade back up, maybe even somehow slide to the second round. We can get him. But I really like him. I think he would be a good fit in our defense as well. Cornerback DJ Turner from Michigan. I think he's really good. He ran a lot faster than I thought he would. He was a sub 4.4, and I think he's just really good. He's got ball skills. He can play in the slot. He can play out on wide. Not like I said, Bears need to be going best available, all these positions, and we got to stack up the talent, and then you figure it out later. You'll find spots to put these guys in. And then I got Jack Campbell from Iowa. Tom let me know he scored. He had one of the highest physical scores. That shocked me. I mean, I don't know when he talks shit, but that shocked me. I thought maybe he would slide to the second or third round, but with that score, I doubt it. Maybe the second round.
He's still got a round two grade right now,
Yeah.
even after that showing at the combine.
So I think if he's there in the second round, I think we should take him. I think he's also a culture type of player who's a hard-nosed guy who's not going to miss any games, who's going to set an example for other players to be like him and to be a leader in the locker room. And we are a really young team. We got Justin, but we lost our leaders. And some of these guys, we need somebody like that to come in and who's going to play for here for the next 5 or 10 years and set the tone. Nolan Smith, it's a D end out of Georgia. He tore his pec last year, so he didn't play a lot this year. He was in and out. He probably, if he would have came out last year and not torn his pec, he probably would have been a top 15 pick. He's coming off injury. He's not high on too many boards. I think he's climbing because he ran a sub 4.4 40, if I'm not mistaken, as an outside linebacker.
It was 4.38.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I mean, if it was 4.48, that would have been ridiculous. So, like I said, we plan on falling back twice. I think if we're in the teens and he's there, I think we should take a long look at him. I think he's got a lot of potential. Then I got a wide receiver. The only one that I think like later in the draft, we might be able to kick the tires on. It's Bryce Ford Wheaton from West Virginia. He kind of measured out like Metcalf. He's tall. He runs a sub 4 or like a 4.40. He looks like a physical specimen. It's just somebody to keep an eye on. You know what I mean? Not everybody's. There's a lot of guys who look like Metcalf or something like a freak. There's a lot of freaks at the combine, so it's not saying much. And then, like I was harping on before, tight ends, Michael Maher and Daryl Washington. I know you talked about Daryl Washington, the tight end from Georgia, and Maher is the tight end from Notre Dame. He had huge heat to start the year, but he ran a bad 40. I think it was 4.7. I'm sure he'll run better at his pro day, but I have a feeling his draft stock's going to slide. If he somehow falls to late first, early second, I would love to jump all over him. I think he's got Gronk potential. And Darnell Washington, I just think it's like a matchup nightmare. It concerns me that he was behind that kid, Brock Bowers, who I'm pretty sure is younger than him, smaller than him.
But Bowers is just...
I know, but he's smaller, slower, and you couldn't get in front of him. So I don't know I mean, that kid is a stud, but just make me think like where, you know what I mean? His head's not in it, but he is a matchup nightmare, and with the right coaching, maybe he can be elite. And then I have, to close it out, I have two defensive linemen from Michigan, Maisie Smith and Mike Morris, both interior. Mike Morris is a DN, but I'd say he's more of a 5 technique. He's more like a run stopping DN. I think he'll be available in the 3rd, 4th round. And same with Maisie Smith. I think these guys are, again, culture guys, leaders. And like I said, I watch a lot of Michigan, so I watch these guys. And my last guy's also from Michigan, Alulu Watami, the center. I think he was a 5th-year senior, so he's a little older. I think that's why. I don't know why he's fallen down draft boards. To me, he was the lineman of the year. He played amazingly. But for whatever reason, he should be available in the 3rd, 4th round. And if we haven't already picked Schmaltz or signed one of the centers in free agency, I really think we should sign that kid because I think he is a smart guy. But that was the last one on mine.
Well, you do know your Michigan players, Michigan bias popping up a little bit for your 10 players there. The only note I have really is the Nolan Smith. You brought that name up. He is a freak athlete.
Yes.
But the only problem is you said he played outside linebacker. Anybody that Nolan Smith, of course, we're looking for edge rushers. I think he's probably a little too small to play defensive end.
But yeah, I just think you'll scheme it. He'll probably just come and rush the passer. So we won't have to worry about him getting bullied around the run game until he bolts up.
So like a Thibodeau type.
Yeah. Well, Thibodeau, I mean, I don't know, Thibodeau had a full game. I think it'd be a little, but I don't know. I don't know what the scheme would be. Like I said, I want to pick best available. And then once you get everybody in training camp and you finally got all your pieces, then you figure out where you're going to put these guys. Instead, I mean, so you want to pick for scheme, but when our team's so bad, you can't be picking for scheme. Not when we have these 1st round picks and all these picks. We got to be picking these best guys. And then you might want to change your scheme. Like you might, you know what I mean? Oh, you know what I mean? On certain downs, we'll go 3-4 because we got 2 young guys who are more stand-up passers. Like I said, he might just stand up and pass rush on 3rd down, 2nd and long. You know what I mean? Every now and then. He won't just be in every down outside linebacker until he bulks up a little bit and he's ready to handle setting the edge.
All right, so I have a couple. I'm going to start off with the one I can't pronounce. I'm just going to call him AA. He is the defensive tackle from Northwestern.
Oh, yeah.
Really good showing in the combine. Really big kid. He's got all of the measurables to be a great 3 technique in the NFL. He's got really good hands. He's got quick feet, good burst off the line of scrimmage, which is very important, especially if you're a 3 technique. 3 techniques, for people that don't know too, and me as a defensive lineman, you see a lot of double teams if you're a 3 technique. So that's one thing that I always looked at in terms of watching tape is how well you can split the double. He does a pretty good job at that. I have a round 2 grade on him, so somebody to watch out for, especially if we pick up a extra 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
I've got Blake Freeland, offensive tackle from BYU. That kid that I saw playing, I watched tape on him a little bit. He's a little slow getting out of the stance on his backdrop for his pass rush. But other than that, he doesn't get overpowered. And there's not a lot of quickness around the edge against him. So he's very good at recovery. He's got good recovery speed. And he's got long arms. So he's able to kind of, push the defensive end away. I've got a round 2. I've got like a mid 2, early 3 round grade on him. I think that's somebody to look out for. Cedric Tillman, wide receiver from Tennessee. I have a 4th round grade on him because he had that torn ACL. So, of course, he's coming off a big injury. Plus, his teammate
2 players with a torn ACL? Then the quarterback shores ACL, the hooker.
Yeah, Hendon Hooker. His teammates getting a lot of love, Jalen Hyatt, because of the season that he had. So Jalen Hyatt's got a higher grade on him. But you've heard me harping on Jalen Hyatt. I think he's an overrated prospect. Again, he had 0 receptions against press man coverage, and you're going to see a lot of press man in the NFL. I don't think Jalen Hyatt's the answer there. Cedric Tillman, 6'3", 220. He didn't run in the combine. I'm sure he'll probably run in his pro day if that knee is healthy. So let's take a look at that. Right now, we've got a 4th round grade on him. Another wide receiver, Tank Dell, Nathaniel Tank Dell out of Houston, did not have a good combine for the most part. He ran a little bit slower than anticipated, but if you watched him in the drills, the catching drills, what do they call it? They call it gauntlet. Is it the gauntlet?
Gauntlet, yeah.
Yeah. Very quick hips. He's got good hands, very soft hands. He lets the ball come to his hands. He doesn't chest catch it. He goes out and grabs it. It's fantastic. He's one to look out for. Of course, you said the obvious one, JSN.
Yeah,
If the Bears fall back to picks 8 through 12, I think JSN's the pick.
yeah, I agree.
If the Bears don't think JSN is the pick, or maybe 8 through 12 is a little too high for them for JSN, and they still fall that way, I want them to take Tyree Wilson, edge from Texas Tech. That kid is we talked about him last week.
Yeah.
That kid is just an absolute monster. Steve Avila, interior offensive lineman from TCU, the Horned Frogs. I've got a mid-second, early third round grade on him. He can play guard or center. He's a pretty good interior offensive lineman. He's a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker, but a lot of kids coming out of college, I feel, are. So you can always
especially
kind of
interior linemen.
Yeah, you could definitely teach that a little bit. Kalijah Cansey. This was a name that has rocketed up the boards. He's the defensive tackle out of Pitt.
Yeah.
If they fall back further than 12, let's say they trade back for some reason and they got picked 15 through 20 or whatever, and Tyree Wilson's obviously going to be gone. JSN, the Packers said if he's available at 15, they're taking him. So if they trade back any further than that, I want them to take Kalijah Cansey. He's the defensive tackle out of Pitt. The kid is fast. He's quick. And for his size, he's a really big disruptor. I'm not going to throw Aaron Donald's name out there as a comparison because nobody compares to Aaron Donald, but he has the potential to be somebody who can change the game in the interior of the defensive line like Aaron Donald can. Finally, my last two picks, Chase Brown, running back out of Illinois. I've got a 5th round grade on him right now. He had a really, really, really poor Senior Bowl showing. He did a little bit better in his combine drills. He's not the fastest running back out there. He's not the quickest in terms of cuts, but I think of him as David Montgomery, but faster and better hands. I think that he's a one-cut back. He's pretty decisive in terms of ball carrying vision. He sees the hole, he hits the hole, and he's a really good receiving out of the backfield. And finally, you've heard me talk this guy up all week, Jamir Gibbs, running back out of Alabama. If I had to choose, if the Bears were drafting a running back and we trade with Houston or we trade with Indy and we get the 2nd pick in the 2nd round or, the 4th pick in the 2nd round, I'm taking Jamir Gibbs if he's there. I know it's an early pick for a running back, but you take a look at guys like Breece Hall and all these other guys lately that have been picked in the 2nd round of the draft. They usually turn out to be the best running backs in the league so far in terms of being young. And Jamir Gibbs just has measurables that compare to one of my favorite running backs of all time, Jamal Charles. I only say that because he was always on my fantasy teams and he always won me a bunch of leagues. But the kid runs a 4.33 40. He's got great hands. He's a solid blocker out of the backfield, pass blocker wise. And that's the thing, is that he doesn't get enough credit for, being a pass blocker, especially being a small guy. He's only 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, he's not too big.
But he's not a bad pass blocker either. And that's what impressed me the most, was just watching tape on him. He picks up the blitzer very well. He may not, give a pancake block, but he's going to make sure that he distresses that rusher, that free rusher coming at the quarterback enough to where Justin Fields can make a move outside of the pocket and throw the ball. But Jamir Gibbs would be my number 1 running back. I have a late 1st, early 2nd round grade on him. I would not be disappointed at all if the Chicago Bears went and drafted him.
Yeah, I think he'll be nice.
What about you guys? I mean,
it's just me. Yeah, I like a lot of those. Chase Brown, I agree. Depending, I think he would be a nice. Even if we do sign David Montgomery, get him, he'll be our 3rd running back. That dude we had last year, Ebner, is weak. He sucks. I'm just saying he's getting the same blocking as Justin Fields, Montgomery, and Herbert. He was doing considerably worse than all of them. It's not like they're blocking worse when you're going out there, motherfucker. So he just wasn't seeing the holes. Like you said, I didn't know Chase Brown had a bad Senior Bowl, but he really popped on the field, like we were just talking about. My Michigan bias. I was watching that game beginning to end, and he was dragging us, and he looked like a quality NFL running back to me. He's definitely got the build. He's got the speed. You said he's got nice soft hands, so we'll be seeing. And I'm not opposed to the Bears getting a running back if he's going to be a playmaker, and Gibbs does have that potential. Too, I think early in the second round's too high for me though. Um, I'd rather just keep Montgomery and take a nice
Well,
young lineman.
well, it's part of a factor cap too. We'll talk about the David Montgomery situation as well. There's a couple of things on there. Um, but those are our top prospects. What about you guys? Let us know in the comment section who
Yeah,
you think the Bears should draft. Give us your best prospects after
yeah,
watching the combine. Kind of just prove us wrong. Tell us we're
yeah.
dumb.